Welcome to an Ocean's video series. This is Easyfit. In today's episode, we will quickly cover discovery of devices, we will cover the zone placement, and then spend quite a bit of time on the configuration. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for future videos. First of all, I'd like to start out by saying if your Navigan software has the red bar at the top, as seen here in the video, then your USB stick is either not plugged in or is it's not being recognized by the computer. So if you take that out, put it back in, you should have the blue bar show up. That works there. We're going to create a new project. So we click on Create here. It pops up the save box. We're going to call this the demo video, and we are going to save that as the demo video. So under controllers, which is the very first thing we have to find, we want to go in and discover all of these devices. In the past, what we've done is we click the Discover button and it populates an entire list full of devices nearby, reaching out over the air. Then you have to blink those individually and figure out which one is which. What we're moving towards is using a USB scanner in the space and scanning the QR codes on either a set of as-built plans or a list that your installer has provided to you. These stickers are included on all of the controllers. They may also come from your fixture supplier, just depends kind of on how you've got it set up. If I scan each one of these devices, they begin to populate in this list. So what normally would have taken several minutes to show up and populate in this list will now take about 15 or 20 seconds if I am doing my time right. So there we've got all 12 listed in here, and I've got I need to put them into a zone. So I'm going to go down here, click on New Zone. That created Zone 1. So let's say this is a classroom, or this is an office or a conference room, something like that, and we want them all in the same zone. We could do them individually like this, and then add them to the zone, or we can say select all and add those to Zone 1 here. If we needed to add those to a separate zone, we could click on a new zone again. Zone 2 shows up here. We would click Add to Zone 2. Those would go into the second zone. So it's an easy way to separate those two. But we're going to add them all to Zone 1 so that we've got them all in place. All right, now that we know how to place them into a zone, let's go over here to the zone area and look at what we've got. So we've got 12 controllers all saying OK, meaning that we've communicated with them, they've checked in, they've checked all their links. They are this gray color, kind of offish white, that is meaning that they are factory defaults. And there's no links shown because you've got all these links here. This is the link box that indicates what links are available, and that is indicating that there's no links available. I'll show you that in just a minute. So typically one of the next things that you need to do is add switches and sensors or other linkable devices. If you see up here in the top bar, we have a section called linkables. If I go to linkables, I'm going to clear my view. You won't see this in yours because I have a lot of devices here in my office. But if I hit the switch that I want to pair with that, you can see that it turns green here in this box to indicate that that's actually the switch. If you can't remember which one it is, click it again, it shows up as a green box. Then if I want to add a sensor, I push the button on the sensor comes up. Again, if you can't remember which one it is, hit the button and it turns green so that you can see which one is actually the sensor there. So now what I want to do is add both of these to Zone 1 also. So I will hit Add to Zone 1. We will go back to our Zone tab at the top, and now I have my occupancy sensor and my single rocker switch. Again, if you click the single rocker switch, it will show up as the green box around it to tell you which one it is. So if we want to rename this, we can go up here and say Demo Switch, and that will rename that switch to a demo switch. If we come here and click on this one, we will call this one Demo Sensor, and now we have both. So there's a couple of ways to link these devices. One is to easily drag this up here to the Apply to All button. The other is to click on each individual device, and to select more than one, you click and hold. To select just one, you just click it by itself, click it by itself, click it by itself. more than one, you want to click and hold. Then you can drag this single rocker over here and drop it on there. It goes to all 4. If you notice, this box right here changed to the number 1, and this box changed to a number 4. If you click on this link box here, it will show you what it's linked with. So this is showing that it's linked with all 4 of these. Very easily shows you what's listed there. If you want to know what's linked to a controller, click on the link box on the controller side. It'll show you that one link from there to the single rocker. So what I'd like to do now is, and then you click back on this yellow box to make it go away. So what I'd like to do now is link the demo switch to everything. So I'm going to drag that up to apply to all. And then I'm also going to link the sensor to everything. So I'm going to drag that up here and put that into everything. So now if I click on any of these, you'll see that, those arrows go to this sensor and this switch. Now, if you want to remove one, you did it accidentally or you didn't do something right, click on that link and then click remove link. It's very simple. So now this occupancy sensor is out of that controller. Remove link, this switch is out of that controller. Now you can see that this switch is back to, or this controller is back to having no links to it. So again, we'll drag this, let's see, we have to highlight this guy. Then we'll bring this demo sensor over here, demo switch over here, and now we've got those all paired correctly. Now I know that there's 12 controllers in this project, so I'm going to double check that this is linked to 12, this is linked to 12. If it's linked to less than 12 or more than 12, we know we did something wrong. And in this case, I know that I only have one switch, one sensor, so that's a number 2. So we look through this list, make sure everything has a number 2, should be good to go to the next step. I'd like to give you one quick hint here where you've got these zones over here on this side. If we want to rename one of the zones, we can deselect that controller, click on zone 1 right here, and you'll be able to rename it right over here. So let's call this classroom 52B, let's call it, and then we'll go down here to zone 2, which doesn't have any controllers in it yet, and we'll call this one classroom 53B, whatever the name is that you use. So now you've got some real names over here associated with this, and this zone list will get quite long. As you can see, I can add as many zones as I want, and this could be an entire floor, an entire building, something like that. You no longer have to keep separate files for each one of your floors or rooms or any of that. You can keep them all in one particular file now. So let me go back up here to Classroom 52B, and we will start to configure these things. Configuration is quite easy in this latest version of Navigan. If you go to the Configurations tab at the top, you've now got a collection of exactly nothing on your screen. But if you go over here to Custom Controller Settings, nothing will show up here because we haven't made any changes to the controllers in the zones. If we had made changes to those, they would show up here under the Custom Controller Settings. Instead, we're going to go under the Products, which shows what's actually in this space, and we've got LEDRs in this space, so we're going to save this as a new configuration. This gives us the chance to top trim the voltage down here to 7 volts, let's call it, right here. Then we can go under the switch. We can adjust all of the things that happen with the switch, the rocker switch on speed, off speed, dim up speed, dim down speed. This is your scene settings here, which we're not going to cover in this video, but that's where you would set them. We can go into occupancy settings. Is the occupancy automatic on? Is it disabled or enabled? In this case, it's disabled. What level does it come on to? 100%. What happens when the first timer elapses of 10 minutes? Well, the lights go to 25%. What happens 5 minutes later when the occupancy sensor doesn't detect motion again? It goes to 0%. And then you have 30 seconds, half a minute to wave your arms, and the sensor will kick the lights back on. After that 30 seconds expires, you will be expected to stand up, hit the switch again, because it believes that you have vacated the room, and this is following the Title 24 rules in California, but it does apply to lots of other areas across the country. So let's make a couple of other quick changes here. We're going to change this to a 20-minute timeout with only one stage timer. Even though we do have the option for a 2-stage timer, we're going to drop this to 0% after 20 minutes. So therefore, 20 minutes after the room is vacated, the lights will go to 0%. And then what we're going to do is save this as a configuration. So we will save that. We're going to select a color for it so that we can easily see it. I'm going to take green here, and we will save that. So now we have our configuration is green. So we created this once, and I'm going to name this District Z spec. We'll call it the classroom spec because maybe you have a different spec for libraries or multipurpose rooms or various other things. So you could create one of these for each of these different types of rooms. So now we've got it over here, District Z classroom. We're going to go back to our zone tab, which is where most of the work occurs. We're going to go back there and we're going to say, okay, so do we want to go into each one of these and adjust each one of the things and drop it to 7 volts and have all these different things be adjusted? We can save that. So we could do that theoretically if we wanted to. And so you can see that this is the one we changed. So it changes color because it's no longer a factory default. But going into each one of these controllers will actually take quite a bit of time and may slow down your progress on this project. If you want to take this configuration that you get to create once for this entire project, and sometimes for entire districts or areas or buildings or property managers, facility managers, whatever, you can actually just drag this over here to apply to all. And we've now just applied the District Z classroom specification to all of these devices in this entire list. So that's it. Those are all configured now. They are done, and we'll watch the little lights here, and they will slowly click over to OK as we go. And there you go. You're completely done with this classroom. All right, now that we've got this whole room configured, what I wanted to do was add a second switch so that we could have just understanding of the ability of what we do here. So I'm going to go back to the Linkables tab. I'm going to clear my view again so you don't have to see all the things that are here in my office. I'm going to hit a single rocker, and it's actually a dual rocker, so when I hit one side it shows up as a single rocker. Once I hit the other side it actually will split and show up as both. You don't have to push the dual buttons again anymore. So I'm just going to take the left side of this. I'm going to put this in classroom 52B, so we're going to select this one. We're going to add it to classroom 52B. I'm going to go back here to the zone, and then we're going to say, okay, so where's my dual rocker? Right here. So we're going to call this one Demo Dual, and we will then drop that into half of our devices. So again, it's a click and hold to select multiples. That way it does this for you. Then I'll drag this over here to these 6. Now those have 3 and these have 2. This one has 6, so that's correct. So these will eventually get their OK. There we go. So we're all good. All right, so now we've got a classroom or an office or a conference room or whatever space you want to call it that is covered with configuration, different linkings, occupancy sensors, switches, all these different things. So one of the things that I want to show you is when we go to Configurations tab up here at the top, we've got an import and an export feature down here. Now I've already created a couple of other configurations for various different applications, so I'm going to click the import button, and you can see that I've got District X classroom, District Y spec. So this is something that somebody could create in their shop or at the office, at the headquarters, and then you bring that over here, and now you've got configuration 1 here. So we're going to rename this Classroom Y spec, and we will do that. Or actually, we'll leave that as that. So now we'll save this. It's a different color. So if we wanted to come over here and let's say we had 4 or 5, let's say these 4 needed a different configuration because of whatever reason. You're commissioning the front of the classroom different than the back of the classroom or something like that. We can drag this over here to these 4 and drop it. Now you have 4 that are commissioned one way and 8 that are commissioned a different way. Now again, if you mix that up and you didn't mean to do that, you can just drag this one back over here, change the configuration again, back to the District Z classroom. So it's up to you how you want to do that. There's multiple different benefits to being able to do that. But this room, essentially done. All right, now that you're done with this entire process, you can see up here it says that the file is saved at 303. It saves after every single change that you make. So if you click on anything else and make any changes, it will automatically save those and update that saved file. It's still 303, so we'll do this again here, and we'll get that all to match. Now, one of the things that we created here in order to streamline the process and the communication back with either the customer or the facility manager, between the installer, the commissioner, and the facility manager, is we created reports. So if we go to reports, you can actually see what every single controller is doing in that zone. And if we had the other zone here populated with product, it would be there, zone 3, everything all the way down through. So if we save this as a PDF, you'll actually be able to see that this will be able to be printed out and handed back into the facility manager, or you can easily email that back to everyone as needed. This shows everything that's configured here. It also shows what links are actually in every single device. This is a great tool for being able to communicate, yes, I did it properly, or when there are issues in the space, we can actually say, okay, what's happening there, what's going on, let's look into the details of everything and every setting and all of that as we go through there. Last but certainly not least, we wanted to make sure that we talked about the discovery code and the unlock code used for some of these different devices. So one of the things that we do is there's a default code listed in each one of the devices, and if you select this when you do the discover, it will use the default code to actually communicate with that device. When you're working on a project, you would want to set this unlock code to something new here. And you can set this up to, I believe it's 8 digits, and you can then set that unlock code the lock code in order to be able to have that work with the various different things that the controllers that we have in there. It doesn't impact sensors or switches, but it does work with controllers. Please, please, please write this number down. Do not lose it. If you lose this file or lose anything else, you will need that number in order to gain access to these controllers. Again, it is critical that you do not lose that piece of information. All right, that's it for today. In order to prepare for our next video, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to restore all of the factory defaults to all of these, and then I'm going to remove this link from all devices. So I'm going to slide that up there to remove from all. I'm going to slide this switch up here to remove from all. I'm going to slide this dual rocker up here to remove from all, and get that out of the way. So now everything is back to factory defaults, no links, and it's going to give me a few errors here and there because it's checking back and forth trying to think, did you really mean to do that? Is that really what we wanted to do? And yes, it is. If you see this red exclamation mark and this arrow or this symbol here, you just want to give it a second to try to communicate. The software will continue to try to communicate with these devices and clean that up a little bit. And then once it's done, it'll give you the OK on everything, and you can move on to the next space. Thanks for tuning into our videos. We look forward to making more of these videos for you and trying to help speed this process as much as we can for you. We're easy to find and we'd love to support you, so please reach out. We do staff experts in building automation, wireless controls, and all sorts of aspects of these different projects that you're working on. Please reach out to us as you need assistance. We're happy to help.